Do women want masculine leadership until it challenges their control?
Yes, they want contained masculinity, right? And it's like trying to put somebody into a prison and then get them to do it. Like there builds resentment. They become a shell of themselves. They're not the powerful beings that we need them to be. We need men to be masculine. I don't know at what point we started demonizing it, but it's so necessary. And we can see what a world without it starts to look like. It's not productive and it's not positive and it's certainly not safe at all. And so women, I made the response to your question last time we spoke about, where do women essentially emasculate their husbands? And one of the answers that I gave was around not trusting his discernment. And you would have think I said, be a doormat. Don't ask a question. Don't share your opinions. Just yes, man, your husband. That's not at all what I said, right? But it's every single time you challenge, you belittle, you criticize, you condemn, you emasculate him for his decisions that didn't work out, or because he thinks differently than you do, or he goes through a process of elimination differently than your brain works. And you think it's wrong because it's not identical, or you think yours is better because he sees it differently. It's like no man can actually go out there and provide what you want. You want him to go out and provide for you so that you can have the life that you dream of because you feel entitled to that, while he also needs to be open and emotionally available. And heaven forbid he overworks again to provide for you, but that's too much because he's not doing stuff around the house. Like it's messy. It becomes insufferable, respectfully. Whereas all I'm saying is if you can allow him to make a decision, to know that he has your best interest at heart, to follow his leadership, he's going to feel empowered by your trust, right? He needs to know that you believe in him, right? Because if we want masculinity, healthy masculinity to exist, which, again, there's toxic women. We don't use the term toxic femininity. Like what? Either way, hypocrisy again. Like masculinity in itself is not bad. There are bad men, there are bad women, but I do not believe that there's toxic masculinity. There's masculinity and then there's immaturity, really. But we need it, and we cannot have it if it's not free to exist. Men, just like women, have to go through their own stages of development. They do have to grow and evolve and learn and gain wisdom and understand restraint and how to navigate the world and align their moral compass and their character to become who it is they need to be. You can't control that. You can't contain it. And if you try, it will erode the intimacy, the partnership, the success, the health, the joy, and the excitement of your marriage or your relationships. Men need freedom and autonomy. So do women. And how we express those things is different. But being intimidated by his masculinity or weaponizing his masculinity because his aggressiveness makes you feel uncomfortable, or his assertiveness, I should say, makes you uncomfortable. You're going to communicate differently. You're going to express emotions differently. They're going to show up and communicate and handle conflict or, make decisions differently than you do. And instead of trying to control that or change it, you accept it and you listen to understand them better, right? Because then you can support them and you say, I know you're coming from a good place. Can you help me understand? Can you let me in on this decision, right? And most of the time, the paradox in all of this, and you can ask my husband, he's sitting right here, when you let them make decisions, paradoxically, they want you to support them in the decision that they're making. When you try to control or override their decisions, they stop making them altogether because it's easier not to make a decision than to fight with you.
Shout out to the content creator. Man, she said a mouthful, but it was a lot that was on point. A whole lot that was on point. It was really 2 to 3 takeaways that I really gathered from this video. And the first thing from her introduction was basically control, man. That's really what I got from it. I know a lot of terms have been thrown around, and that's something that she actually brought to the forefront as well when it comes to like toxic masculinity. And she was like, hey, there's some hypocrisy behind that because no one says toxic femininity, right? And so that's a great call out. And I agree with her saying, hey, there aren't any toxic men. That there's masculinity, not toxic masculinity, but then there's just immaturity, which I totally agree with that, because a lot of men, which, this is what my channel is about, man, just really bringing that to the forefront, that a lot of men are just needing that development, and, it's not a final stage that you get to as a man as you grow. There are levels to it, but there's not it's like a journey, right? There's no end destination. You just keep growing until, you feel like you arrived at the best version of yourself, and then you can express that. But it's the control mechanism, man. And even with her and her husband, right, that you can still hear the tonality in the voice, man, about you have to let him. You see what I'm saying? It's like certain key words that you pick up on even with her being so intelligent and speaking articulately about what she's saying, you can still hear the entitlement even in her voice, right? Because she does have a husband, but it's still like just those type of words, those key words, like you have to let him do things, you know. She said another one, but it was so much that unpack in this video, but you just gotta read between the lines and really listen with intent on even her tonality and how she's saying it. You can't let a man do anything. You don't control a man. And that's one of the things that even from, and it's funny, I always bring this kind of, I don't want to call it a joke, but it's just a phrase or a sentence I like to say about even when Eve was, you know, manipulating Adam. You see what I'm saying? It's like they constantly want to control. And it's like, because listen, a lot of women, most women know they really need men in this world, right? They need us to build things, to fix things, to repair things, to do the heavy lifting. And, you know, that's important. And we need women as well, you know, for the love and support, you know, and just other tasks that we may need assistance with as well. But for them, and there was another content creator I came across, and she was just saying how, like, yeah, just women just want total control, man. And they want to use us as a resource. Like, okay, I got this man, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure he goes out and work to bring home resources for me so I don't have to, type thing, right? No woman really, really, really wants to work and, you know, be out there in the elements and stressing out. They want to find a man that they can whoosh, go out there and gather resources and food and bring it back home versus them doing it. That, now, they'll do it if they really have to, but that's not in their nature to do it. And, you know, that's just what it is. But another thing she said on the video was talking about kind of closer to the end of the video, just speaking on, yeah, the whole let things. So let me look at it from a positive frame, right? And again, I know what she means, right? She's saying that, hey, basically, I think the right word she should have put is not let, but relinquish, or just basically get out the way, and so he can make the decisions autonomously, right? Without you feeling like you need to have your hands inside of the decision making. And again, a perfect thing she said was, when it is a decision that he's making, if you as a woman want to know how the decision came about, can you give me more insight on that decision? That's one of the things she said, you know, and I think that's a great way to approach it versus, you know, kind of a very aggressive way or a very assertive way from a woman. Like, that's why it's so powerful. And that's something that I say all the time. Women who know how to use their femininity, they'll get anything in the world. How to be soft-spoken, how to be sweet, even though the intent behind it may be malicious in the sense of, I need to manipulate this situation so I can get what I want. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, I think in that, I'm not saying every woman's intentional like about that, but I think it's just natural. You know what I mean? It's the same thing like us men, we're very natural with seeing things, what's the word? I guess in a common sense way, very practical, right? But again, that's on a big picture scale, and women see a lot of things in the detail. But again, I think this was a great approach, man, on her speaking to the women out there about basically, you know, stop approaching these men with the sight of, if I can't get them to do what I want to do, then they're toxic, right? And instead of trying to control them by belittling them or talking down to them or trying to manipulate them with words to get them emotionally riled so you can control them, you know, allow them, quote unquote, yeah, that was the other word, allow, not let, but allow them, quote unquote, to make good judgments because they're good leaders. Now, every man not going to have that skill set, but I very much understand what she's saying. Like, but a man has to be able to make those decisions if you want him to grow and be better. No man's going to make every decision right? And sometimes he going to have to just stand on that. And even though he may be totally wrong, you have to support that, right? But then you can help him see where he might have made his mistakes. And that's more powerful than him trying to stop him from making mistakes, which a lot of women do because they want, they want the perfect scenario. So that's how I see it, right? Is the way that she was articulating it to the women, which is stop trying to control, allow them to lead and make decisions and support those decisions. That way they can grow into the person they need to. And also that helps you as a woman grow into your role, right? And when it comes to supporting those decision making, and the truth of the matter, the absolute truth of the matter is if you support your man, he's going to be way more open to allowing you to see his decision making process than you nagging him about it. Because if he makes a decision and you nagging him and complaining on how he did, he's not going to trust you to tell you on how he moving. He going to feel like he walking on eggshells. And so he's going to say, look, I'm not even going to include her in this decision, right? I'll tell her after, or maybe I won't even tell her at all. And you don't want that as a wife. You want a man who's very open and frank and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This, regardless if you disagree or not, but this is what I'm thinking. You may be, because he trusts you so much at that point, because you built that rapport, built that trust, he may be, if he brings this to your attention, hey, this is what I'm thinking, he's looking for you to pour in insight as a woman, as a wife, right? And that's a very powerful position to be in, because at that point, you really, if you're smart as a woman, then you really are playing the game the right way. You know what I'm saying? To still get what you want, but allow him to be the man you need him to be. You get what I'm saying? But again, a lot of women ain't on that level yet. But anyway, shout out to the content creator. I thought that this was a great message for women out there to help them when it comes to their husband and leadership. And if you got any value from this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video out for anybody who needs to hear this message. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.